what's going on, guys? This is JD Moon, and I'm coming back at you guys with another Magicka DK build video. I hope you guys enjoyed the footage right at the beginning of the video. I wanted to move the footage to the beginning of the video this time, so that way you guys could kind of see, you know, the play style of the build and how the build works before you even dove into what was in the build or how the build was even being built. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to go through, you know, equipment. I'm going to go through stats. I'm going to go through CP. I'm going to go through skills. We're going to go through all that so you guys can kind of see what we're working with and what we're doing currently right now in this patch. Now, for all you guys who don't know, I've been working with a lot of 7 heavy stuff lately. Due to the changes to block and dragon bones, I've been able to run full 7 heavy again, which was really nice. Now that we can remove that enchantment off our jewelry glyph, it completely changed the game for Magicka. So let's kind of dive into gear. Okay, let's get into it. Let's see what's going on. I know a lot of people are seeing the alligator head on my character and being like, yo, JD, that monster helm shit. And I'm saying, no guys, it's not. We just need the right build to wear it. Alright, so here we go. I think we found it out. I'm gonna dive into what we're doing. So here we go. Alright guys, so as you know, this is Slime Crawl. What Slime Crawl does is going to give us that spell and weapon critical, as well as a minor berserk up at all times. It's going to increase all of our damage by 8%. So now, in all my years of playing Magicka, I've learned that the highest damage and highest healing that I can achieve on a Magicka was wearing Julianos. Julianos is going to give us 2 critical buffs off that fucking monster. I'm sorry, off of that set alone. So I wanted to figure out how I could achieve the 2 critical buffs while also putting out a bunch of damage and giving us good sustain. So we removed Julianos and we got Slime Crawl, and now we get into the meat of the build, which is Shulk. Okay, Shulk is going to be kind of our everything set. Okay, it's going to give us health, it's going to give us damage, it's going to give us crit, it's also going to give us sustain. Okay, but so the sustain that we're using is going to be different because we are a DK, so using ultimate is going to give us sustain, right? So we want to manage that with our pots properly. But so whenever you're using ultimates on this build, you want to be sure that you're not using the ultimate in the wrong time. You don't want to use it too early, and you don't want to use it too late. So you want to use it to get a kill. So because keep in mind that being a Magicka, we have no execute. So our execute a lot of the time is going to be our ultimate. So we want to be sure to use that at the right time. While also being our sustain. So you want to really learn how to use your ultimate when you need to and not because you want to. Okay, so that's going to be really important when you're playing, especially this build, but not just this build, but also just playing Magicka in general. And for all those experienced Magickas out there that are watching this video, you guys already know what I'm talking about. Alright, so let's dive into the dressing of the build, what we're putting on our meat. This is our seasoning, okay? We're going to be running Rattlecage. Rattlecage is going to free up that slot on the bar. It's going to give us a lot of damage, okay? It's coming in with health, okay? We're getting more survivability. We're getting 3 pieces of damage. Then on top of that, it's going to give us our major sorcery buff up 100% of the time. This is going to be very important. Because of that, we free up a slot on our back bar, which is extremely important because it allows us to run basically the Magicka Vigor, our heal, our self hot, okay, that we get to get being a Magicka, which is cauterized. So it's going to allow us to run that on our back bar. Now let's go ahead and dive into jewelry. So on our jewelry, we're running the Rattlecage jewelry, which is all going to be arcane. And you're going to get Forbidden Jewels and Gem of Curses. And for those of you who don't know how to get that or where to get it, you can farm that in Vaults of Madness. Just run the first boss over and over again on Vet, and you can get that purple jewelry. Now we are running, we're going to be running reduce costs across the board. So all these reduced costs, now for some reason I have a reduced stamina cost. I didn't even know I had that. So we're going to be totally getting rid of that. Anyways, oh, that's because I was doing the other day. That's right. So we're going to be running 3 reduced cost glyphs on this setup. That's what you're going to want. Now for dueling, I ran the reduce stamina, and the reason why I was running that is because I had reverb on my back bar. So that's going to be for a dueling setup. Now that's neither here nor there. We're talking about open world Cyrodiil. So we want 3 reduced costs, or if you want to run 1 more damage right there and run 2 reduced costs, you can definitely do that. I don't have a problem sustaining with the 2 reduced costs. Now if you're a newer Magicka, then you might want to run the 3 reduced cost and no spell damage, because you're not gonna really be that good at sustaining yet. So you're gonna want to learn how to sustain with your character first before jumping into, you know, min-maxing it with the perfect amount of damage. All right, so now diving in, we are running a disease enchant on the front bar. I found this going to give us our minor defile, which is going to be really, really important for what we're doing, as well as we're going to run sharpened. We're in heavy, so we definitely want sharpened on the front bar. I run reinforced. If you don't want to run reinforced, you don't need to. If you want to run Nernhone, that's totally fine. I prefer reinforced just because reinforced it gives me armor, okay? And I found that the weak point of a mag DK, honestly, is going to be physical damage. So I like to run the more armor. I like more armor than I do the extra spell reduction, because it's not quite that important, because we already get a major spell resistant buff just from passives of being a DK. On our back bar, we're running decisive. Now in the 1vx video, I was running defending on the back bar. In my fully vamped out version, I like the decisive on the back bar. It's going to give us more sustain, more ult gen, and just overall more damage because we have more ultimate. So that's going to be really, really important for that back bar. And we're running reinforced on the back bar as well. Now, so what makes Shulk so important, okay, let's dive into skills real quick before we go into stats. So what makes Shulk so important is that when we're misforming, okay, we're gaining ultimate the whole time, okay? That's why Shulk is so important, because while we're kiting, it's allowing us to kite and gain ultimate. So it's going to allow us to run around a tree, use that pot when we need it, turn around and leap that motherfucker that's coming up behind us, kill him, and then whoever else is behind him, okay? So now let's dive on the front bar. Let's go over skills. Then we're running Whip, okay? They have changed a little bit. We're running Whip, Burning Embers, Engulfing Flames, Fossilize, Inner Light, and Ferocious Sleep. Now, if you look at our tooltips are so high, okay? The reason why our tooltips are so high is because we're running Slime Crawl. Slime Crawl is going to give us that burst damage that we're lacking on Mag DK being in heavy, okay? So let's switch over to the back bar. Now we're running Coagulating Blood, okay? We want that extra crit that we're getting from Shulk and also from Slime Crawl, because that's going to give us a bigger heal, as well as putting out more damage. Now I'm running Dragonfire Scale. As you guys can see in the 1vx videos that I was posting on there, it really gives us a lot of the upper hand, especially against range, because range is so heavy in open world Cyrodiil. You definitely want the wings on the bar. I don't really use Igneous Shield when I'm out in open world Cyrodiil, and the reason why is because I've found that anytime I need major mending, I'm probably getting zerged down and dying, okay? So at that point, who cares? I'd rather just wing shit back at people and hope somebody dies while I'm getting zerged down. Volatile Armor, it's going to give us a dot. It's going to give us Thorns return damage. It's also going to give us our major spell and physical buff. It's just overall just super good. And then on top of that, while that ability is up all the time due to our passives, we're going to get our 8% increased healing from our dragon page, okay? If we're running Elusive Mist, now this is super important, okay? You definitely want Elusive Mist on your bar, especially in open world Cyrodiil. It's going to allow you to kite. You don't have to dodge roll, blah, 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 okay? It just mitigates so much damage, and I'll explain why it's super good and why we're using it, and how we're adjusting our vamp, okay, in Cyrodiil. Now, running Cauterize on our back bar, it's going to give, that's basically our Mag DK Vigor. It's going to give us our self-heal. That's a hot. On top of that, it's going to buff our Coagulating Blood, because it's going to give us our crit buff on the back bar as well. And we're running Shooting Star on the back bar. This is going to be our Sustain ultimate. This is going to be our If They're All Stacked Up on Crown ultimate. This is just our all-around situational ultimate that's going to give us a lot of sustain because it costs 200 ultimate. So it's going to be super important when we're in a scenario where we've kited as far as we can go, but we have that 200 ultimate up, so we can drop that, gain all that sustain back, and go back in with punches flying, okay? So let's dive into stats, and then we're going to dive into buffs and Mundus Stone and all that good stuff. So max Magicka is 36k. We're making up for that lack of having a small Magicka pool with having Slime Crawl on. We have 26k health and 14k stamina. This is going to be super important for the sustain of this build, okay? And that max health right there is really good. That's why we're running 7 pieces of heavy, because we want that extra max health to make us be able to fight in an outnumbered situation. Magic recovery is 819. Now with a slight change to CP, you can have a little bit more than that. I'll explain to you why I chose this route here in just a minute when we get into CP. Our health recovery is 410. People are gonna be like, "Yo, JD, how are you getting 410 health recovery on a vampire?" I'm about to explain. Stamina recovery is 514. We don't need more than that. With Constitution passive, we're getting not only Magicka recovery back, but also stamina sustain. So that's fine. We don't need more than that. You're getting 700 Magicka and stamina back every 4 seconds while you're in heavy when you're getting attacked. So keep that in mind. Our spell damage is actually 2157. Right now, somewhere I'm in shore, so God only knows what EP's doing here. They're probably zerging the map. But so we're normally at 2197 ish. They probably just grab that keeper or that farm right behind me or whatever. So anyway, so we're gonna be sitting at 2197. You don't need much more than that. That's perfect numbers. Our spell critical is gonna be basically 40%. Okay, 40% is a perfect spot. That's the spot we want to be at. We want that in light armor, and we also want that in heavy armor. Okay, that's gonna give us the crit heals that we need, and also the crit damage that we're gonna need to put out. Now moving down, spell resistance unbuffed 23k and physical resistance is 20k unbuffed. Let's go ahead and buff up so you guys can check it out. Buffed up, we're sitting at 28.7 spell and 26.2 physical. Moving down, we definitely want to be a Dunmer as a Mag DK. It's going to increase our damage. It's also going to increase our fire resistance, which is going to allow us to make up for what we're losing on Vampire for over stage 1. Okay, moving down. We're in stage 1 Vampire. Like I said before, we definitely want to have this. Stage 4 Vampire is going to be super important. It's going to reduce the amount of damage that we're taking. Undeath really isn't that important. The only reason why we have Vampire at this point is honestly just so we can misform. Misform is literally the only reason why we have Vampire at this point. We're running Tri-Stab Food. If you're not running that, you need to. And we're also running Tri-Pots. Okay? So let's go back to gear real quick. Let's go over what enchants we're running. Full Magicka chance across the board. All iron gold. If you don't want to gold them out, completely understand. It's totally up to you. So now let's go ahead and move over into CP so you guys can check this out. We're going to start in the blue page on Apprentice. We're running 56 into Elfborn, 43 into Elemental Expert, and 29 into Spell Erosion. That's going to give us our Arcane Well, which is going to give us more sustain. Okay? So, and also it's going to give us our Foresight, which is also going to give us more sustain. Both these two passives are going to be really important for Mag DK, especially when you're killing people. Okay? 56 in Master at Arms is going to increase our whip damage and our leap damage. So we definitely want 56 in there to give us that 20% over there. And then we got 56 in the Thaumaturge. That's going to increase our Gulfing Flames. And it's also going to increase our Burning Embers. So that's all. And it's also going to increase our Volatile Armor. So that's going to be important as well. Moving on to our defense tree, 56 in the Ironclad to reduce that direct damage. 4 into Resistant. We don't need any more than that. We only have a little over 1100 critical resist. We're in 7 heavy, so who the fuck cares? 51 of the Thick Skin is going to give us 19% reduced damage from dots. This is going to be especially important for bleeds and all other dots that would be hitting us. 43 into Hardy. That's going to reduce physical, poison, and disease damage. And then 43 into Elemental Defender. That's going to reduce our Flame, Frost, Shock, and Magic damage also by 10%. Moving on, 43 into Quick Recovery. Since you don't have any points in a Blessed, Quick Recovery is going to be extremely important. We definitely want that. It's going to increase our self-heals, so want to make sure that we're definitely putting some points in there. 56 points in a Warlord. This is going to reduce our break free cost by 20%, as well as we're going to be running 27 Arcanist. Now, if you want to go ahead and switch it up, I'll explain how you can switch it up here in a second. Let's go ahead and go over the rest. 56 in a Tumbling to reduce that dodge roll by 20%, and also 56 in a Shadow Ward to reduce the block cost by 20%. This one and the break free are going to be the most important. Then you're going to go to Tumbling, and then everything else from there. So I've got 45 in a Befoul. People are like, JD, why you got 45 in a Befoul and not in a Sustain? One, you don't get hardly any sustain back by having percentages in sustain on a Mag DK because you can run with low sustain anyways and sustain just fine. I'm running 45 points in a Befoul because I run a Disease enchant on my front bar. So what that's going to do is going to allow me to hit somebody, hit them with Minor Defile, which is going to increase it up to like a 25% healing debuff, and then just whack away at them until they die. 27 Arcanist is going to increase that Magicka recovery by 7%. If you want to go up to 10% here and then put 7% Mooncalf, completely understand. Totally up to you. So that's going to be the CP. Guys, I hope you enjoy this build. Let's do a quick recap. I really have fun playing it in Open World Cyrodiil. We're going to be running 2 pieces of Slime Crawl, 5 pieces of Shulks, and 5 pieces of Rattlecage. Guys, go out there, have fun, fuck people up, enjoy your 1vx. All you experienced Magickas, I know you're going to love this build. All you new Magickas, you're going to love learning how to play Magicka in this build. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and I will see you guys out there on the battlefield. Thanks for watching.